Hello, back to Sage here on the Sage channel, and a nice little update came out today that is, well, it might not have added that much flashy stuff, but it's added some stuff that's very important to the future of this game. But first off, we're here at the Easy Start Worlds again, and we're actually going to go into mods, and I've gotten something off the Steam Workshops called the Spencer Modding API example. This is something that devs made to sort of demonstrate the modding API. Also, I'm going to go into advanced, and you can see this thing here, respawn ship cooldowns. They now have a 17-minute cooldown on your default respawn ship, as well as a 7-minute or so cooldown on your more basic, smaller respawn ship. So you can now go ahead and disable those cooldowns if you want, or make them longer or shorter if you wish. But let's just leave that at default. Enable spectator because it might be useful, and go ahead and load up this just Easy Start 1 world. And here, the Easy Start 1 world, you're not going to see much difference, but what we'll notice different is if you press G, there is a fighter cockpit now in your inventory. Now, this isn't a mod, as I showed. I only have that one mod on. This is Darth Biomech's mod cockpit, but it's actually officially part of the game now. So congratulations to you, Darth Biomech. You made a brilliant cockpit. So brilliant, the devs added it to the game. So let's go ahead and actually put this in here. We're going to delete the normal cockpit, and we're actually going to delete a few of these little things here. And I'll stick in his cockpit, and you'll see just how perfectly this guy's cockpit works. Instantly, it just fits pretty well. You can see the curves he's got in this cockpit pretty much align up with the basic ship. You can, of course, easily, just do a few clicks here and make it fit in even more with so much ease. His cockpit is brilliant, and the way it blends with the already existing game stuff is great. It's one of the better mods actually out there, which I call it a mod. It's not really a mod anymore as it's part of the game, but it's one of the better items out there considering how perfectly it does blend with the overall feel of the game and mainly with all the other blocks. It is a brilliant cockpit. And if I was to go ahead and hop inside it, you can see it's got 3 different selection areas. It's got some on the sides here which are a little hard to select sometimes. It can seem to come and go. But it's got one on top that's almost always guaranteed to let you click. You hop in it, you see it's a very, very nice cockpit. It's got a lot of details on the little switches down there. You can see they actually have like little things to cover up the switches if you don't want to accidentally hit them. Nice little keypads, keyboard, all that. It is a very, very nice cockpit indeed. And of course, as any cockpit, you can see here it has all the normal controls you would usually have. And while I'm in here, I'm going to show something new, the inertial dampeners button here. So basically, if you want a ship that's just going to automatically have its inertial dampeners off, instead of having to hop on it and press Z, let's say if I was to try to control this fighter from a distance, I could, well, it's not owned by me, but if it was, let me actually go ahead and do that really quickly. Set to be owned by me, info, small fighter, there we go. So now it's owned by me. So if, let's say, it was a drone, I could do much the same. Select the small fighter, select its cockpit, so fighter cockpit, and then disable its inertial dampers, and now its inertial dampers would be disabled. And of course, you can do the same exact thing for the usual, what are these called? Remote control blocks. So if we just had a remote control block on here instead of a cockpit, and maybe, of course, a little camera to go with it, you could, of course, very easily select this from afar. So once again, we're going to do small fighter. You could select the remote control block, so let's find it. There we go, remote control. And you can, of course, disable or enable its inertial dampeners, which is pretty damn cool. And, of course, control it. And then, of course, we would want to go ahead and have our camera controlled as well. So there you go. Pretty dang awesome. Nice little improvement. You see the inertial dampeners were indeed on there. Once I exited it, it stopped. And of course, they could have been off. Another thing they did today was they actually added a new upgrade for the ships, for small ships I mean, in the form of this right here, reloadable rocket launcher. So if we were to go ahead and toss one of these on here, and we'll actually probably want to wire it up in some way. So let's go ahead and use one of the ships over here to really quickly wire this together. And you can see there we go, now we have a rocket launcher which has these big doors on either side of it, which is now wired into the piping system here and into this large storage container. And then of course you could use this docking gear or connector block here to connect and easily reload the ship's overall supply of missiles. And then to fire these missiles you use a rocket launcher just as per usual from the top there, and voila, you have them firing. Now, if I was actually in survival mode, which I'll switch over to them in a minute, it'll actually count down the missiles that you're firing from these. And you can see there it actually, I don't even have to switch to survival mode. You can see there it sort of, yeah, there we go, the stop. It imitates just how it would be in survival. It fires all 4, 2, 3, we'll actually stop right here, give it a second. And the idea is Yeah, it has to fire all 4 and then it reloads all 4 chambers. So you actually have a delay in between firing the rocket, so you cannot have a constant rocket swarm with these. Because of course it takes some time to reload it. And remember, it only reloads after it's fired all 4. So like if I waited, let's say 4 seconds right here, it's not actually reloading. It only does that once you've gone ahead and fired the last 2. So I'll fire the last 2, and you'd expect it to fire the original 2 again, but it hasn't reloaded yet. And I don't think, you know, it's actually taking quite some time to reload, so let's fire 2. Let's press R to see if that works. I actually gave it a few seconds there to see if it did. And nope, no dice. So definitely did not reload when you pressed R. So you have to actually make sure you fire all 4 missiles before it reloads, which is pretty dang cool. So, and I don't have to switch to survival mode to demonstrate that it does actually have, it sort of has that delay in there even in creative mode. Another thing they added today, and this is the reason I have that one mod installed, is if we take our absolutely bog standard sensor and stick it down here on the ground, because I have that one mod installed, that's a mod that the devs put out by the way, if I name this, let's say, iron sensor, and walk back into its field, oh, it's not actually working, hold on. Oh, bugger, I actually forgot to put the mod on. So there we go, now I've put the mod on, sorry about that guys. So that one mod on, let's load it back up. And now that we got it loaded back up with that one mod installed, you can see as I run towards this sensor, the second it detects me, because I named it iron something, yeah, it can actually be just, I actually tweaked its name to iron 20, but it can just be iron or space sensor. The second it detects you, it drops in iron, and this would work for, let's say, if we wanted to have gold in there, or uranium, or anything like that. That works, and remember this is only with that one mod. But what this is demonstrating is the power of the modding API that they've now added. So you can expect to see mods do a lot more than currently adding specific blocks. You can see them doing special functionality like this and a whole lot more stuff in the future. It's really, really advanced, really, really cool. Now I've got one last thing to show you guys, and to do that I'm going to fly over here, open up this, and the search function at the very top here. Now you're probably used to this thing. If you want to find something, you have to name your containers very simply. So like if I want to find a symbol, I usually type an ass. Very funny. But you'll notice here that it's also still showing the small cargo container. That's because anything in here that has those 3 letters stuck in it will also be showing up. Well, there's something in here, let me put it, has those 3 letters in there. So it's actually showing this container as well. So let's say I actually want to find computers. I could go ahead and instead of typing that silliness, I could type computer. The original containers disappear, but because there's a computer in this small cargo container, it's actually showing this container. Now I do wish it would actually hide all the stuff in it and just show you what you need. That'd even be useful for maybe just converting groups. So if I had, like, let's say a small, I say group, a small grouping of 12 computers there, it would be nice if I could just type in computer and this whole cargo container would show as empty except for those 2 groups, and I could really easily do that to mash them back together. But overall, it's very cool, very helpful, and it'll speed things up a lot, and it's, well, awesome to have that simple functionality. Anyway guys, I think that's about it for this update. It seems pretty simple, but I'm sure you'll see the modding workshop explode, and let's be honest, Darth Biomech's Cockpit is a pretty dang big improvement to this game. It's something that almost everyone on Earth has been using, and you can see why. It fits the game perfectly. Anyway guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.